Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at, the digital era, I guess you could say.
Mm.
We're going to be exploring its potential benefits, definitely, but also some of the critical questions that it raises about life in the 21st century and beyond. And the source material that we're going to be looking at today is called Introduction à l'ère numérique. It's a really fascinating piece. There's some great stuff in here, I think, that
Yeah, it's a great jumping off point
yeah.
in this conversation.
Yeah, and this source kind of jumps right into it, talking about how the internet, smartphones, cloud computing, all of this stuff has radically changed the way that we communicate, the way that we learn, the way that we work, the way that we...
Different way.
Yeah, it's like a whole new...
Yeah, it's a whole new world out there
Yeah.
in so many ways.
Yeah. But the source is also quick to point out that we really need to be careful to make sure that all of this progress, that it actually benefits humanity
Right.
and doesn't take away from it, you know?
It's about harnessing the power of technology for good
Right.
and making sure it serves us, not the other way around.
Yeah, and that's really the crux of it, I think, is that there is this potential for a downside, right? There's a peril.
There's always a flip side.
Yeah, and we need to be aware of that. I thought it was interesting what the source had to say about AI. It's surprisingly optimistic, actually. It points out how artificial intelligence is already, super integrated into our lives, and a lot of times in ways that we don't even notice.
Right. It's
Yeah.
working behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Making things easier, Think about like those Spotify recommendations you get or, when Netflix is like, oh, you might like this.
Mhm.
That's AI. AI is doing that. Algorithms.
I thought it was magic. I thought Spotify could read my mind. But no, it just...
It's magic in a way. It's like technological magic.
Yeah.
But yeah, those algorithms
Mhm.
are learning your preferences.
Yeah. Well, and then, of course, you have the more obvious things like voice assistants. I can't imagine my life without them now. I use it for everything, like setting reminders, getting quick answers, like, what's the weather? That sort of thing. Even controlling all my smart home devices, like my lights and the thermostat and the...
It's incredible how much time and mental energy you save.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And so the source really emphasizes how that reclaimed time that we get from, these little things that are happening, how that can be used for passions, personal projects, things that we enjoy.
Right. It's about freeing us up
Mm-hmm.
to focus on what matters most.
So imagine if you had an extra 2 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do with that time? Would you learn a new skill? Would you finally write that novel? Would you spend more time with family? I mean,
The possibilities are endless.
it really is. It's like we've been given this gift of time.
That has a huge impact on well-being.
Yeah.
Just think about it. Less stress, more time for the things you love, a greater sense of control over your life.
Yeah, for sure.
It all leads to a more balanced existence, more fulfilling.
Yeah. It's funny you mention work because I was thinking about how this relates to the workplace too, right? Like AI is transforming the way that we work. A lot of people are worried about AI taking jobs.
The future of work is definitely evolving.
Right.
But this source actually presents like a more nuanced perspective on that whole thing.
Yeah.
How many tasks in your typical work days could actually be automated?
I mean, a lot probably if I really thought about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like think data entry, scheduling, even some aspects of data analysis.
Oh, yeah.
These
yeah.
are all things AI can handle, which frees us up to focus on more creative, strategic, human-centric tasks.
It's like having a super efficient assistant who never needs a break.
Exactly.
So it's not about AI replacing jobs. It's about AI evolving them, right? Making them potentially more fulfilling.
I like that, evolving jobs.
Yeah. So what about people who aren't in those kind of fields where you can just have AI step in?
The source also talks about how online work is changing the professional landscape. Yeah, what's so amazing is like how digital platforms
Mm-hmm.
have created this truly global workplace.
Mm-hmm.
You can collaborate with anyone, anywhere in the world now.
It's pretty wild.
It's incredible. And it's not just about working remotely for a company either.
Mhm.
The source talks about how it's fueling entrepreneurship.
Oh, interesting.
People are diversifying their income.
Yeah, it's like all the traditional barriers to entry are kind of disappearing, so you can explore whatever you want, wherever you want.
Exactly. So like,
Exactly.
could online work unlock something new for you? Is there a dream project that you've always wanted to pursue, a skill that you want to try to make money from?
It's worth thinking about.
The source even highlights some fields like online education, writing, digital marketing, web development. All of those are booming right now.
Huge growth areas. Okay, so we've talked about how the digital age is changing how we work, how we live our lives, but what about its impact on the planet? That's where the whole responsible part really comes in. And the source actually suggests that technology could be a key player in addressing environmental challenges.
Hmm.
What do you think about that?
Well, think about it this way. AI, specifically, can be used to optimize resource usage. Imagine agriculture, where AI systems are monitoring crops in real time, adjusting irrigation and fertilizer based on actual need.
So we're not just like
Mm.
overwatering, over-fertilizing.
Exactly. Minimizing water and chemical use. Less waste, smaller environmental footprint.
Okay, so technology can actually make the planet healthier.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just limited to agriculture either. Think about using predictive modeling to optimize supply chains,
Hmm.
reducing waste and emissions there. And then you have smart sensors in buildings that can monitor energy consumption, making heating and cooling systems more efficient.
Wow, it's like having a digital guardian angel
Right.
looking after the environment.
Looking out for us.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
And it goes beyond just the technology itself, too.
Mm.
The source highlights how digital platforms can raise consumer awareness.
Mhm.
We have more access than ever to information about eco-friendly products, businesses,
We really do.
which empowers us to make more responsible choices.
So we can vote with our wallets
Absolutely.
and support companies that are aligned with our values.
Exactly.
I'm curious, though, if AI can do all this for the environment, could it be used to create a more just and equitable world for people, too?
That's a great question. And it's one the source dives into head first.
Oh, then let's dive in.
Well, the source really emphasizes this idea of digital inclusion, making sure that everyone, regardless of their background or where they live, has access to the opportunities and benefits of the digital age.
Yeah, like a level playing field.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We don't want anyone left behind.
Right, because it's one thing to have all this technology and data and these powerful algorithms, but it's another thing to make sure that it's actually being used responsibly.
That's the key, right? It's not just about having the tools. It's about using them ethically and for the benefit of everyone.
So how do we do that? Like, how do we ensure that these things are being used responsibly?
Well, the source talks a lot about the need for things like, affordable internet access for everyone,
Yeah.
making sure people have devices if they need them, and providing digital literacy training.
So it's kind of like building a bridge across the digital divide,
Exactly.
making sure that everybody has the tools and the knowledge to actually participate.
Yeah, and to make informed decisions about their technology use.
Because it's easy to feel like you're just kind of along for the ride sometimes.
Right, you don't want to feel powerless.
But the source also talks about some really exciting possibilities, like using technology to empower individuals and communities.
Yeah, that's a really cool aspect of it.
Can you tell me more about that?
Well, think about the rise of collaborative platforms and what the source calls social economy initiatives. These are ways for people to connect and share resources and support each other in ways that just weren't possible before.
Give me some examples.
Sure, so imagine like online marketplaces that connect local producers directly with consumers.
Oh, yeah.
That cuts out the middleman, supports small businesses, and promotes sustainable practices.
Right, so it's good for the environment and the local economy.
Exactly. Or think about platforms where people can share their skills and knowledge.
Kind of like a global mentorship network.
Exactly.
So technology can actually help strengthen communities.
It's not just about isolating people in their own little digital bubbles.
And all of this kind of connects back to something we were talking about earlier, the idea of freedom and self-mastery in the digital age.
Oh, absolutely. It's about giving people more control over how, when, and where they work.
Instead of being tied to that traditional 9-to-5 office grind.
Right.
So like you can set your own schedule,
Uh.
design your ideal workspace.
And choose projects that align with your passions.
It sounds amazing, but isn't there a risk of kind of blurring the lines between work and personal time if we're always connected?
Yeah, that's where the self-mastery piece comes in.
Mm-hmm.
This new freedom requires a different set of skills. Self-discipline, organization, the ability to set boundaries and manage your time effectively.
So it's not just about working in your pajamas, it's about developing a whole new mindset for this new way of working.
Exactly.
Do you think this shift towards self-management actually leads to a more engaged and satisfied workforce?
This source seems to think so. When people feel trusted and empowered to manage their own time and workflow, they tend to be more invested in their work and contribute their best efforts.
It makes sense when you have more ownership over your work. You're going to be more motivated and committed.
Right. It's about moving away from a culture of micromanagement and control and towards a culture of autonomy and accountability.
And that ties back to this idea of time liberation that we were discussing earlier. By automating those mundane tasks, we're freeing up mental space and energy to
Yeah.
focus on the things that really matter.
Exactly. We're reclaiming our time and our lives.
I love that. So speaking of things that matter, this source also has a lot to say about the role of individual action in shaping a responsible future.
Oh, yeah. This is a big one.
Tell me more.
Well, the source argues that even seemingly small choices can have a ripple effect, like opting for sustainable products, reducing waste, supporting ethical companies.
So it's not just about waiting for governments and corporations to solve all the problems?
Right. It's about recognizing the power we each hold as consumers and citizens.
We can vote with our wallets and our actions.
Exactly.
And the digital age gives us incredible tools to amplify that impact.
We can use social media to raise awareness,
Right.
connect with like-minded people, and support organizations that are working for positive change.
It's like having a global megaphone at our fingertips.
And we can use it to advocate for a more sustainable and equitable world.
So it's not just about individual actions, it's about working together to create lasting change.
Right. We need to address these systemic issues collectively.
This source also seems to emphasize the importance of digital literacy.
Oh, absolutely. As this digital landscape keeps evolving, we need to develop the skills to critically evaluate information, understand how these algorithms work, and make informed decisions about our technology use.
It's like we need a digital compass to guide us through all of this.
We need to be savvy digital citizens.
This deep dive has really got me thinking about my own role in all of this. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the scale of the challenges, but this source reminds us that we all have a role to play.
And that even small actions can make a difference.
It's about reclaiming our agency and realizing that we're not just passive consumers of technology, we're active participants in shaping the digital future. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. The promises and perils of the digital age, the power of AI, the importance of individual and collective action. But there's one more key takeaway from Introduction à l'ère numérique that I want to highlight.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. What is it?
It's how the source talks about how interconnected everything is in this journey. You know, it's not just about taking individual actions, it's about recognizing that we're all in this together and how we need to work together and share knowledge and support each other to kind of navigate this uncharted territory.
You know, it's interesting. This source really highlights how the digital age has this incredible potential to bring us together. You know, it connects people across borders, cultures, different perspectives even.
Yeah, and instead of focusing on the things that divide us, we could be using technology to amplify the things that unite us. It's
Yeah.
almost like we have this opportunity to hit the reset button and actually build a better future together.
I like that, a reset button. And the great thing is everyone has a role to play, you
Mm.
know, whether it's through online collaborations or supporting international initiatives, even just using your voice to advocate for a more just world. We can all contribute.
We can all make a difference. It's easy to forget that sometimes,
As
that even small actions can have that ripple effect.
it really can.
But it's not a one-time thing, right? Like the source also talks about the importance of ongoing learning and adapting.
Yeah, the digital landscape is always changing. So we have to be curious. We have to be open to new ideas, new approaches.
It's like we're all students in this giant global classroom
That's a great way to put it.
called the digital age, where there's always something new to learn.
And everyone has something to teach.
This whole deep dive has been really thought-provoking for me. It's given me a new perspective, I think, on the power we have as individuals and as a collective, to shape the future.
Yeah, for sure.
We really can choose to use technology to create a more responsible, inclusive, and sustainable world.
It's an exciting prospect.
It is. So what are some key takeaways you hope listeners will, take with them from this conversation?
I hope they come away with a sense of empowerment, that they realize they're not just passive bystanders. They're active participants in shaping this digital age.
Yeah, they're co-creators, not just passengers.
Exactly.
That's great.
I also hope they cultivate that mindset of continuous learning, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
The digital world is never going to stop evolving.
Yeah.
So we have to stay curious, open-minded, and embrace the possibilities.
Stay engaged and informed.
For sure.
And then finally, I hope they remember the power of collective action.
Yes.
That we can achieve so much more when we work together. Share knowledge, support each other,
The digital age offers so many opportunities for connection and collaboration,
Hmm.
and using those to create positive change.
So well said. This whole deep dive has really been about how the digital age is what we make it. It's up to us to use it wisely, ethically, and with a sense of responsibility for the
For the
future.
world we're creating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Introduction à l'ère numérique. We hope this exploration has been as fascinating and inspiring for you as it's been for us.
We encourage you to continue exploring these ideas, ask questions, have conversations about how we can collectively shape a digital future that benefits everyone.
Until next time, keep diving deep, stay curious,
Mm.
and remember, the future is in our hands.